Hi, folks. Joseph Kursky here. I had the great honor and privilege of going out into the field with some fine university students. We went to the Indiana Dunes. The professor wanted the students to go out into the field, actually do field work. What a concept! With specific instructions. Observe the beach formations, wetlands, river systems, forests, land use in the area of Northwest Indiana. And I turned that whole experience into a lesson on how to create a story map of a field trip. So you can find that online. Just do a search on creating and using ArcGIS story maps and my name, Joseph Kursky, and you'll find it. Here are some of the things that we looked at with the students. We looked at 3D diagrams of beach formations and other features of glacial terrain. We looked at, this is a drainage divide, actually. There's a lake on the top of a drainage divide. This is a pretty significant drainage divide, even though it doesn't look like much of a divide just on the landscape. But again, this is where scale matters and looking at maps and documents matter, because this is actually the drainage divide between the Great Lakes, and everything south of this lake actually flows down the Kankakee, down the Illinois River, down to the Mississippi. So it's a huge drainage divide. Having the students see that. Here's some of the fine students that were out in the field with me that day and also with their professor, taking notes, observing, asking questions. Oh my gosh, it was wonderful. This is some of the eroding, as you can see here, sand dunes at the Indiana Dunes, one of the newest national parks in the USA. Fascinating place. Students taking notes at one of the Oxbow Lakes in one of the local rivers. And I just love this. They're using all five senses. They're investigating. They're using this in the context of their Geographic Information Systems class. They took readings. Here we are at 41 North, 86 West. The students actually had to do some background reading so they could understand what was happening out there on the landscape. And the professor, I salute that professor, giving the students very pointed field notes and just enough information where they could start asking their own questions and being inquisitive. Here we are going down the dunes to Lake Michigan, southern edge of Lake Michigan here, and looking at geomorphology, changes in space and time with landscapes, landforms, and also human impact on the landscape. Here's one of the southern edges of one of the magnificent dunes there. You can see it totally encroached upon this forest and killed off these trees. But dynamic Earth that we have at our fingertips to study, to respect, to honor, to preserve and protect. And that's all part of instilling the love of geography in these students. Here's me being nerdy at the seashore with my own notes. One of the wetlands and ponds that we were examining, soil moisture, water quality, and looking at land use, how the land is being used, for example, for power line clear cuts and what effect that has on different diversity and amount of species. Fortunately, a lot of this area is being protected, as you can see here. Wetlands. What's not to love about wetlands? Waterfowl, migration for birds. Let's go back to that one. Flood control, species, open space. You know, in the past, 100 years ago, most wetlands were around the world drained, not thought of as healthy places. And indeed, there's some argument to be made where, you know, in part they were helping to raise concern about public health, mosquitoes and other things. But really, the harm done in draining wetlands was not irreparable. We have gotten smarter as a species, but nowadays wetlands are more fully appreciated for the health that they give to people, to the planet, to plant and animal species, to flood benefits for flood control and water quality. They act as giant filters and much more. So here's one of the students collecting from the collection of field data measuring water quality. And again, I just absolutely love the whole idea of getting out into the field with your students, mapping and analyzing data, looking at scale, thinking about processes, human environment interaction, and much more. Now I encourage you to get out in the field with your own circle of friends, family, and students.